podcast talked about the hippocampus, okay? Because the discussion was about the brain health. And if you don't know what the hippocampus is, it's a structural part of the brain that supports memory, navigation, perception of space, and all that. And it turned a light bulb in my head, and I'm like, dang, I need to dig more and find out about this and why I'm having these like short-term memory loss. Hi, this is Evangeline Delini. Welcome back to the channel. On this channel, we focus on a woman who's leveling up from a place of ease and flow, discussing self-development through research of science and spirituality. So today we're going to be talking about productivity and food. And what I would do is I will share my story on how I was able to heal my body using food. Before we get started, if you enjoy topics like this, please go ahead and subscribe. If at the end of this video you enjoy the topic for today, please give it a thumbs up. It helps YouTube share the video with more people. First of all, let me just say, in the year 2022, I was in trance. I was in a brain fog situation for a long period of time. And I did not come to realize that it was because of my diet. That's why I was the way I was in 2022. So we all know that in order for us to show up in our day and be great and implement all these productivity tactics and techniques and everything to show up as our best self, we have to be healthy, okay? And when we start to think about being healthy, we have to look at our diet. What are the foods that we're eating doing to our bodies that may be causing us not to show up as we would want to show up in our day? Continue on this topic of productivity throughout the month of January. I thought it would be a good idea to talk about, our diet. I did share in a few videos ago that there were 3 things that we need to come to our day with, or we need to have under control in order to show up in our day. And our diet was one of them. So I wanted to isolate this particular topic and go a little bit deeper because I do have a short story to share of my own that I experienced, and I was able to use food to heal my body. So 2022 was crazy. I went through a spiritual awakening. I was in a fog the whole time. It's almost like I was on a different planet. I would get up some morning and don't want to work. I would want to stay in bed most of the time. Even if I was working, I was not putting my entire energy into it. And it was not because I didn't want to. Sometimes I didn't create new designs because I didn't have the energy to create new designs. So when I went through this spiritual awakening and I had to pay attention to a lot of things happening around me, my diet being one of them, I decided to look closer and see what was happening here. I had a lot of brain fog every now and then. I would be having conversation with my husband, can't remember, in the midst of the conversation, can't remember what I was thinking about telling him. I would go to the store sometimes, park my car, go in for maybe 10-15 minutes, come back out, don't know where my car is. I'll be looking over the parking lot for my car. And I was like, hey, Angie, something's not right here. This is like a complete different person here. From 2021 to 2022, something's not right. So I decided to figure out what was going on with me. And I read a lot. I do a lot of research. I listen to a lot of podcasts to keep me informed. And lo and behold, one day, one of the discussion on this podcast talked about the hippocampus, okay? Because the discussion was about the brain health. And the hippocampus came up. And if you don't know what the hippocampus is, it's a structural part of the brain that supports memory, navigation, perception of space, and all that. And it turned a light bulb in my head, and I'm like, dang, I need to dig more and find out about this and why I'm having these like short-term memory loss and things like this happening with my brain. Because I knew this couldn't be normal. But my husband was to be like, yeah, you're getting old, you're getting old. And I'm sure you've heard this too. People, when you say you forget, for people be like, oh, you're getting old, you're getting old. But no, this is not supposed to be happening. If your hippocampus is healthy, you should be able to have a good perception of your space. You should be able to navigate better. You should have good memory, okay, if it's healthy. And so I went digging to find out more about this part of the brain that is probably affected in my brain, because I'm having some of these symptoms being discussed in this podcast. So when I went digging to learn more about this part of the brain, I found out that your diet can affect it. And to be quite honest, a lot of our organs in our bodies can be affected by our diet. And so when I found out that poor diet, like diet that is high in sugar and fatty foods, can really affect your hippocampus, okay? And the hippocampus, if it's not healthy, that's when we start to have Alzheimer's and all this thing, memory loss and things like that. And I'm like, oh no, this was enough information for me to get it right. And so automatically I was like, I have to pay attention to what I'm eating. This overfeeding thing is another thing that we do that we don't pay attention to, because we just eat and think that we're supposed to eat all through the day. But I went ahead and I cut out 2 of my meals, and I started to have 1 meal a day, and I started to drink more water, okay? And I cut out dairy. And caffeine is good for the hippocampus. However, because the way I drink coffee, I would put the creamer, like really pour the creamer in my coffee. And what is in a lot of the creamers? Sugar. And that's one of the foods that deteriorates the hippocampus. So I'm like, I gotta stay away from this. I gotta stay away from caffeine, because I know I can't drink it black. So I'm just gonna cut it out. So I stopped drinking coffee, and I was just eating 1 meal a day. And I did that for a while, and I started to lose weight. And by doing that, eating 1 meal a day, I started to have the fog was going away. I was getting up and wanting to be in my day, and be productive in my day. Now, keep in mind, I was going through this experience, but still trying my best to show up for work and doing my designs and showing up in front of the camera to do the photography for the designs and all that. But it was a struggle. It was a struggle. Even my husband, I was laughing because I had gained so much weight. You could tell that it felt so abnormal, because like when I would take some of the pictures, you'd be like, Vinci, you look so stuffed in the pictures. But that's to show you that sometimes we go through life, and if we're not careful and pay attention to what's happening to us, we can just ride the wave and just let life happen to us. But me being a health conscious person, I knew this is not the way I want to keep living. I couldn't function like this. At first, I thought I was overly exposed to social media, so I needed to take breaks. I would take 2-3 days off social media, come back, we're back into the same experience. That's when I started to pay more attention to my diet, especially after that podcast and learning about the hippocampus. I started to do more digging and learning more about the hippocampus. And then one of the studies that I came across also talked about if we ate a healthy diet, it increases the BDNF in the hippocampus, which is a protein. It increases that, and when it does that, it produces neurogenesis, or it causes neurogenesis, and the increased neurogenesis help to strengthen our hippocampus. So I'm like, okay, now I'm going to really pay attention, and the type of foods that we need to eat, like a lot of berries, nuts, and things like that. So that's where I went full on and became a complete raw vegan, because I was like, I can't wait for my hippocampus to heal a month. Okay, I'm gonna do this right away. And so the whole idea behind me going raw vegan was to be able to get those nutrients straight into my bloodstream as fast as they could. And so that's what I started to do. I started to eat raw foods, and night and day. I mean, night and day. Like after a week of eating raw food, the weight loss was a icing on the cake. But the way I felt, because the whole idea that drove me to do more digging and figure out what was going on with me was because I was not feeling healthy. I was not even focused on the weight at that point. I was just not feeling healthy from the inside. And so I was not showing up the way I wanted to show up on a daily basis. And so when I started to change my diet and eat raw and let those nutrients really hit my bloodstream right off the back, I mean, it was night and day. It was like a matter of 1 week. I started to have different experience in my day. I had clarity. I was wise. I was sharper. I mean, I get up 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm alert. I'm not foggy. I'm up and ready to hit the gym. But I brought this to your attention today so you can understand that in order for you to show up in your day and be productive and implement all these strategies and techniques I've been talking about to stay focused, to stay productive, you need to show up as your healthier self. You have to be really clear with your diet and make sure you're eating clean, because if you do, it takes care of the organs that make your body run properly. So you have to take care of yourself, and that's how I was able to heal my body, just by eating the right food, switching my diet, going raw vegan. And I woke up on November 28th. I remember that I was doing the 1 meal a day, doing the intermittent fasting, all that. I was doing good, losing the weight. But I got up on November 28th and I was like, today will be the last day I put meat in my body. And that was the last day I put any type of meat in my body. I've just been on fruits and vegetables, or greens, you know, like the oatmeal. I'll cook the oatmeal, sometimes black rice. I have different recipes that I put out there. I usually share a lot on my social media, but I was like, no more meat. I don't want to discourage anybody from eating meat. If that's your lifestyle, that's fine. I'm not telling you this is what doing this is the way to do it, because I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor. Okay, so please take everything with caution and reach out to your doctor and get some clarification before you implement anything I'm talking about here. But this is what worked for me. I needed to get my life centered. I needed the clarity. I needed to be myself again. And I had lived in a fog for so long. And when I came out of that space and started to eat clean, eat healthy, things changed for me totally. I lost all the weight, a lot of the weight. I'm not at my goal weight yet, but I lost majority of the weight. Now I'm back in the gym working out. I just wanted to share this with you, that maybe you may be on the journey and struggling, and you can figure out what. Check your diet. Check your diet and see what's happening, because your food supports your organs. And if you're not eating right, your organs they will tell you. They will tell you in so many ways. In my case, mine was short-term memory loss, not being aware of time and space. And when I found out the hippocampus puts this, or you know, I was like, we need to fix this. We need to take care of this here. So I hope the information in this video resonates with you, and you will get on board and start paying attention to your diet. Anyway, thanks for coming through, and I'll see you in the next one.